Hello. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a cup of strong black coffee, and in the process engage you with an anecdote of no small amusement.
Hello, nerds, and welcome back to NerdyVerse here on Nerd Herder, where we talk about other things we nerd about other than Star Wars, which is what we're known for, I guess.
We also wear crop tops.
It's like whenever I say I like anything other than Star Wars, and people are just like, huh? You can do that? Yes, we can.
Yes,
We do it often, actually. And one of the ways that we nerd out, although not normally how you'd associate nerd with a fandom, usually that means calculators and collars and lasers in space, but you can nerd about anything you love, really, and we nerd about horror.
I'm a crochet nerd.
Yeah, you can be a nerd about anything.
I love lamp.
And so, of the horror that we like, because a new film in the saga is being released, we felt like it was a good time to talk about a series we do enjoy. Not our favorite, so don't confuse and think that I don't know why I have to quantify this. It's just
it's entertaining.
For the first horror thing we're talking about. I do wish it was our favorite.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get people's guesses at what our actual favorite is. I don't know if we've said it.
I think we've
I feel
said
like
it
some
in the
people can say
past.
it. Yeah, I don't think we've said it recently, but yeah, if you want, play the game. You know, I want to play a game.
I want to play a game.
Guess our favorite horror franchise that we wish we were talking about, but instead we're talking about Saw.
Yes.
Which makes it sound so sad, but no, these are fun movies. Maybe not fun. I don't know.
Listen.
Saying good things about horror movies is hard.
Much like our favorite franchise, I say the first one is the best, the second one is good, the third one...
The second one's the best.
I don't... Yeah, the second one is the best.
You don't have to agree with me. I'm just saying, for me, it starts at 2.
It's very good.
It's 2, 1, 4, 3, 7... No, 6, 7.
I'd put...
5. 5 is at... 5, wait.
That is where
1,
we agree.
1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah, 5 is always at the bottom.
Absolutely, I agree. For
If
me,
that helps you guess...
It's 3 then 5.
I really want to get people's opinion on this. So
Rebecca will be able to guess immediately.
Ask us to rank these movies, and I would have a hard time telling them apart. So this is part 2. If you missed out, please go back to last week's episode where we discussed the first 4 movies of the so far existing 8 films in the Saw franchise, though we are getting a spin-off? Sequel? I don't know.
It's a Saw Wars story.
People are... they announced Saw 10, so I feel like they are saying this Spiral, which is out now, which is a part of the book of Saw.
We haven't watched it yet.
Haven't had the chance to get to a theater, but want to, will. Because that's the whole reason we're talking about this, is because a new one's coming out, and honestly, thought it was gone, thought it was dead, thought it was a done series.
Thought it was Tobin Bell.
So to get a revamp / continuation is exciting. It's also confusing.
Yeah.
And that's the point of this, is because although most people are off-put to horror in general, I think Saw is one of those franchises that's one of the ones most people attribute to why they're off-put to horror. It's nasty, it's gory, it's scary, it's just, like in a lot of things you can find entertainment. You can almost find goofs and gags in some things. Watch Friday the 13th movies. Tell me some of those aren't goofs. Come on. Like, nobody's eye pops out like that.
No,
so,
but it's entertaining.
Whereas with this, they definitely try and get you uneasy and all that other stuff. So, like, it's almost a thing of just like, oh, these are very, very raunchy movies. And it's like, kind of, sort of. Often what is the case is the story is lost in the horror, in the entertainment. Along with many things. Like, some people don't know the story of serial killers and slashers. They just know that the movies are scary. And I feel like if you can find and like the story, you can appreciate the film more regardless of the horror.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people, miss out, where people disconnect. And to be fair, most of the time you're anxious. You're too scared to care about the story, but that's what we're here for.
I had a whole conversation with someone recently where we were talking about Midsommar, where they were like, oh gosh, that movie was so bad. I didn't like it. And I was just like, did you pay attention?
Yeah, well, and that's one of those tough ones, but very much so an example of So although they're not scared of the movie, they don't understand it, so it's not
Yeah.
fun. It's like Hereditary, where it's just like it's very left field if you don't
Yes.
understand what they're trying to do.
Pay attention, for Pete's sake, when you're watching an A24 movie.
And with that's true elevated horror, not
Mhm.
what Jordan Peele's doing. I love what he is
I-
doing, but
he
like
is.
the term elevated horror isn't necessarily derogatory, but I don't think that's what
Yeah.
he's trying to just do the brand
Yeah.
right.
If I had to say that there is a director that is a new Wes Craven,
Yeah,
who is just like the granddaddy or the daddy of horror.
James Wan,
James
who
Wan.
I said it was last week.
But also Jordan
Why is
Peele.
Wes Craven our compare to?
If I
He's not
had
even
to-
that great.
Wow. Yeah.
No, I just mean like he's not. I
He
would.
made some weird movies.
He
I love
he
him,
made
though.
memorable. He made a lot of memorable ones, but like
Yeah.
it's just like it's not like everything he did was all
Mhm.
horror and all big and
Yeah.
beautiful. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not trying to get into the semantics of directors.
I don't like
It's
the
just
term.
ironic that I compared James Wan, who created Saw,
Yeah.
to Wes Craven, and you compare Jordan Peele. Love Jordan Peele.
Love
Love
Jordan Peele.
A24.
He's been
A24, you
fantastic.
have to have notes to understand
Yeah.
and properly be scared.
Especially The Lighthouse.
Here, you need notes as well, mostly just because it's confusing.
Thanks for bringing us back to
And
it.
and that's what we're trying to do. We
Mhm.
did a horrible job because we confused
Okay.
two of them last week. But,
Here's the thing.
thing.
These movies kind of run together.
we do the hard work so you don't have to. You should watch these movies, but after listening to our rambles, because then it's going to make even less sense. And you can't be scared of it if it doesn't make sense, right?
Exactly. That's a
So,
tactic.
Yeah, we talked about the first four, okay? So created by James Wan, and just to sum up where we've come from, essentially it centers around, or it did center around, a character by the name of John Kramer,
Mhm.
who was diagnosed with a terminal illness, suffered a lot of tragedy in his life, and basically lost the will to live, only to have it just shot right back into him by a near-death experience.
Yes.
And
And then
he
died anyway.
discovered the thing that all self-help gurus are seeking, and it's the secret to a lot of life change.
One might say the missing piece.
Right.
Oh.
So he basically is like, oh, I just need to get people this close to death, just right at death's door,
Yeah.
and they'll appreciate life. No matter how much sense it makes that consequence has to happen to value privilege,
Mhm.
it obviously is a very wrong way to go about it.
Oh, boy.
Once barbed wire and nails and bear traps get involved, probably not the way you want to do it.
No. I mean, Jigsaw's a serial killer.
Right. Like, it's the same thing of like mouse traps, where it's just like if you just follow people around with mouse traps and every time they do something wrong, you just whack them with one. It's just like they might learn eventually to stop doing it, but is it right? Would Jesus
Yeah.
cry? Probably. So he begins this endeavor of teaching people to value life, and in some cases, he's quote unquote successful, like with his former apprentice Amanda Young, who
Yes.
he put into a scenario, and she escaped and was quote unquote cured. And so she then devoted herself to serving Jigsaw until she started to believe that people can't change and that they'll always be bad and they should be punished instead of rehabilitated. So, long story short, the first four films deal basically with Jigsaw between the moment he becomes Jigsaw to the moment of death.
Yeah.
Because Saw 4 Saw
So-
3, 3 and 4
3 and 4.
end with him dead,
Yes.
succumbing to both his wounds and his illness.
I think Saw 4 literally ends with his autopsy.
It does, yes. So
Yes.
I guess you could say with Saw 4 then. Here is where we pick up with his other apprentice, Detective Hoffman, who he
boy.
groomed and who was the leader of the last scenario. So Saw 4 was almost this trial run of him being Jigsaw, the
Mhm.
killer. And so when we pick up in Saw 5 and continue on through, that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a
Yes.
new Jigsaw. We're dealing with the legacy of a killer.
It's also the introduction of John Kramer's wife.
Yeah, yes.
Yes. I what's her name? I want to say
Jill
Vanessa.
Tuck.
Thank you. That is so not her name. Whose name is Vanessa? In
So
Saw?
close. So close.
Missed it by that much.
She was technically, I think, mentioned already.
Yes.
I think it was very brief, but definitely here's where we get the majority.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of the story that we've mentioned in last week's episode to make last week make sense, we see here. So in SAW V, we actually start with the backstory of Hoffman becoming an apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to remind folks, like we mentioned, he copycatted Jigsaw.
With a really cool saw trap.
Yeah.
Like, how did he have just like the technical know-how to build a guillotine?
Right, like, Bob, I need a guillotine.
Ted,
right,
can you
I'll
build
have
me a
it back by
guillotine?
Tuesday. Yeah, so he
Yeah. Not a
his
guillotine, a pendulum.
It's all semantics, I think. Blades on things
Tomato,
and
tomato,
gravity.
guillotine,
Blade
pendulum.
plus gravity, guillotine. It's just some go up and down, some go left and right. We're all born different, Jimmy. It's
There wasn't a pit involved.
Yeah. So Detective Hoffman's sister was killed, and by this man that he's captured, and put in this quote unquote saw trap. The reason he's doing that is because saw murders are happening all the time. Who's going to question one more of a bad dude getting killed in a saw trap? And so he sees it as his opportunity to get justice for his sister. And so, he basically just puts him in an unwinnable trap and he dies.
Yes.
Jigsaw finds out and he's just like, hey, you could use your skills to help people instead of just killing murderers. You could have changed him. And so kind of essentially blackmails Hoffman into becoming his apprentice.
Remind me, is 5 the one with the skinheads?
No, that is 6. 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6,
Careful
6,
there.
6, 6,
You might
6,
summon
6,
somebody.
6, 6. Nope, 7.
7. Okay, we'll talk about that when we get 7.
Yeah, I was vamping and I had nothing else to say except 6. How many beasts did I summon?
We are wearing a Trivium shirt. So.
Right, there you go. So, no. So, after he's recruited to be his apprentice,
Yes.
that's all the intro serves, is just a backstory to Hoffman. We haven't gotten that surprisingly yet, other than just knowing he's helped John Kramer. So this one has to deal basically with Hoffman trying to wrap up loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
So in 3 and 4, that, as we mentioned, happened simultaneously, he's caught the attention of the FBI.
Yes.
He has not been as careful in covering his tracks as the previous Jigsaw, who is now dead, by the way. So Hoffman is on his own. But as you mentioned, John Kramer's wife does come into play.
She's given a box in this one?
No, I believe that is in the next one.
Listen, man, I'm just vamping here. I'm just trying to guess at the plot
she's kind
of
of
these
just
movies.
she's kind of just pulled in as kind of a curiosity at this point. Like, she's not
True.
She serves to give us the backstory, more backstory to Jigsaw.
You're right, because she's
that
being
I don't
interviewed.
think we talked about.
No, we did not.
Well, we mentioned that he lost his son, but we didn't mention how.
Yes.
So we do get that here and find out that it has to do with Amanda. And so she actually had a miscarriage because basically somebody hit her with a door when they were robbing her...
Methadone clinic.
Methadone clinic. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
That sounds so official.
We used to live down the street from a methadone clinic.
There you go. So, they were robbing it, and in the process ended up inadvertently giving her a miscarriage,
Yes.
which led to a lot of the issues that later built up to John Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's kind of just an accessory to this one. So Hoffman is trying to get the FBI off of his tail. We've mentioned before that there was an FBI agent that was tracking him and was getting pretty close. And Hoffman actually saw the opportunity to put the blame on the FBI agent, actually, instead of himself. He's also having to deal with someone saying that they know who he is, which is what he's most anxious about, is this idea of being found. Yeah, being found out as Jigsaw. And so... my gosh, I don't really remember the trap in this one.
I really don't. Is it the lawyer, or is that the next one?
No, that's the next one.
What happens in this movie?
Let's see. That's the crazy part, is I'm like so obsessed with the story.
Is it just Jill? Like,
no, it's a thing. I think, is this the one? Oh, I remember. This is the one with the people that have to work together.
Yes.
Yeah. So so that's what we mentioned in the last one.
Yeah.
first of all, again,
There's
sorry,
so much movie.
they look alike. They're all
do.
so similar.
They're all green for some reason.
Right. Maybe we would have been better off putting these one by one, but I honestly didn't want to talk about it for 8 episodes.
No.
So this is actually one of my favorite Saw tests, actually. And the reason I enjoy it is because of the twist. So the things you need for a good Saw movie are, confusing plot that you thought you understood, and then the end of the movie tells you, haha, gotcha.
But wait.
You need a Saw trap that's interesting,
Mm-hmm.
but then you need also a Saw trap twist that's interesting. So basically, although like the trap itself, oh, that's interesting how they're, like the danger of it, the how are they going to get out of this? But then the twist of like, oh, what you needed was in the first thing and the first clue and all this other stuff, and it comes back to bite you in the rear because you should have just listened the first time and you would have gotten it.
Yeah, it's always the first term.
This is a very, very good one of that.
Yes.
And it's all Strom. It's all not Strom. That's what Hoffman wants you to think.
Yes.
It's all Hoffman. So yeah, so it deals with I think 5 or so people who are in a trap that have to work together, and they would all live. So that's the big thing. Like that's where Hoffman kind of wins as an apprentice. Is he's not a great dude. But he gets the point. Like,
yes.
You want them to be able to win.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a chance that they can change and be better. If they don't, that's on them. And that's exactly what happens in this one. Is it's another one of just like all the clues were there for you to succeed, and you don't. So every test they go against, they end up killing one of the others to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Because every test they go through would kill you. So one has to do with electricity. If one person took all of that voltage in their body, they would die.
Yeah.
If one person gave up this much blood, they would die. And so it's like if one person does it, they die.
Yeah, that last bit was another one that I had to like just sort of.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
But if they work together and if everybody does their part, they all would have won. It would have all been fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this case, it ends with the big ending is that they have to give blood
Mm-hmm.
in order to open the final door.
I think it's like a gallon of blood.
I don't know. It's more than 2 people should give, which is all that's left, basically, after they've sacrificed everyone. And so, but yeah, now 2 people have to give 5 people's worth of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's taxing, but they end up being able to pull it off, I believe. But essentially, where they are and where they're experiencing the trap is the same place that Hoffman has led the police
Mm-hmm.
to try and capture Strom.
Yes.
So even though this has one of the best Saw traps, this is the worst payoff of like all the plot.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's all just Hoffman running around trying to blackmail a dude.
Yeah, there's a point where he's surprised that everyone's alive that he thought he killed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a plot point for like 5 minutes, and then they move on.
Yeah, and then it's ridiculous, and it basically just ends with him getting Strom trapped.
Yeah.
In one final thing,
Which I will admit that one was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I like that trap.
Right.
It's another one of those ones where like if you just listen.
Yeah, so there's a coffin, and he's like, hey.
Full of broken glass.
Yeah, get in there. That looks bad, but if you get in there, it's better than what you'll get.
Yeah.
And he ends up putting Hoffman in the coffin instead, and it turns out the coffin, the Hoffman coffin, disappeared. Like it goes into the floor, and then the room shuts and closes in trash compactor style.
No more Luke from Luke Steiner.
Yeah, no, he's dead.
Yes.
Except for his hand. That comes up later.
For some reason.
He plants his fingerprints somewhere. I don't know if he was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to make it seem like he died in his own thing or something like that. Or like, I don't know what he expected to happen here.
It ends with him, I think, being regaled as a hero. No, it doesn't.
No, it really doesn't. It just ends with him escaping.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. Like the plot of this one, like I really just don't think they knew what to do at this point. I do think though, it had to happen to give us better plot to a point in 6,
Yes.
because Jill, John Kramer's wife, becomes more important.
Yeah, this whole
And-
time, she's being interviewed by Strom, and at the ending, you find out, oh, she knew. She knew that her husband was Jigsaw.
So in SAW V, it basically ends with a lot of that, and so but she ends up being the one who knew, and so again, it's just to continue the story, but otherwise, there's not a whole lot going on there. Again, I like the trap, but even I can understand how most people wouldn't like the trap. So like, there's not a lot for this one. I think to really like, watch it. It's interesting. It's good.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to ask you something.
Sure.
Out of all the people that you would tell you were a serial killer to, ex-wife, do you think that would be a poignant one?
They were still married. They were still together when he started experimenting.
Were they? I thought they were already divorced.
Mm-mm.
Huh?
She kind of knew he was getting into stuff. She knew enough of what was happening. She could have done something sooner.
Yeah, I agree.
But instead, she decides to become an accomplice,
It happens,
which is what
man.
comes up in SAW VI. So now, Hoffman's gotten the FBI mostly off of his trail, although he's still got some things to deal with, mostly to do with Jill. So again, she knows who he is, and he kind of confronts her, and this is where he gets the box, the last will and testament, and it deals with the next game. So John is setting up a game for Hoffman, not to be a part of, but to facilitate, although he turns out to be a part of it because unknown to Hoffman, Jill is a part of the game too. It's just like layers and layers of twist.
And it opens with a very cool scene with the skinheads.
Yes.
I think this is this is that
I think
one.
it opens with that one.
With the lead singer of Linkin Park.
Yeah, Chester Bennington. Because he's bald and white, and I guess that just
he's
that
glued
fits.
to a seat.
Yeah, that one was featured a lot in the trailer, so it was very kind of like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This one has an interesting story to the plot, to the game as well, because this one does, as you mentioned, deals with oh my gosh, what's it called?
I don't remember. He's a crooked lawyer.
Insurance salesman?
Insurance salesman, you're right.
Yeah.
Lawyer, insurance salesman. It doesn't matter how it walks, it's a pig.
Yeah. So I think it's insurance or something. Like, they deal in one way or another with the process of getting people treatment or denying them.
Yes.
Whatever. Because that's the point, is he denied John Kramer. And it's because of that, actually. So the connection is, so if you remember in the first one, Dr. Gordon gave the diagnosis. That's why he was in the test.
Yes.
Because he just basically just didn't care about John. And that comes back into play in this one because turns out it wasn't exactly inoperable. It could have been treated. The chances were just low. But Dr. Gordon said, no, it's too bad. It's inoperable. So when he goes to the insurance guy here and it's like, hey, if you would help me with this treatment could save my life. He's like, yeah, but the doctor said it's inoperable. There's no way. So he denied, like, he gets double denied. And so going to this guy, it turns out runs everything crooked. Yeah.
He has this team of hip teens who are just so proud of the fact that they're screwing people over. They're nasty.
Well, they get what they want. They get their money and they get their nice clothes and like they win. So why do they need to care about other people?
I don't like malicious characters.
I can afford my health care. Why do I have to care about other people's?
Every single one of these people is Jacques Renault from Twin Peaks.
Yeah, nobody's good.
Baby.
Nobody's good.
No.
And so the test is for him to have to be faced with the realities of the choices he's making. So in that moment, he said to John, I can't help you. Not seeing. Now, John didn't die of his illness. There was a saw blade intervention. But you don't get to see the guy you say deserves to die of lung cancer die of lung cancer. You just say that I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
And you send him on his way. So the test is to make him face that. So he's having to choose people to save. It's almost reminiscent of SAW III, where it's like you don't. The goal isn't to kill these people. You're supposed to save these people. What you choose to do either does or doesn't do that. So in this one, it's a lot of that. So his team are a part of one of the games, and each one like it's a merry-go-round, and he has to like choose whether or not to shoot or not. But he has to
Yeah.
spin the bullets,
Mhm.
but he gets to choose who does and doesn't get it. And there
Yeah.
is like this constant thing of like I have this and I have that and I'm pregnant and all kinds of craziness
Yeah.
where people are trying to just like, and it's the same thing we do. Like when we're in those crises and it's just like I need help. No, wait, but hear me out because I have like this and like I we try to justify the help, and it's what everyone else is doing in that scenario, and now he's having to look at it. He can't just file a paperwork. He's
Mhm.
actually having to choose to kill people.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first trap that he's in is him and a one of his janitors in the building who has a breathing condition,
Mm-hmm.
a lung condition, whatever, where he has to be so careful because every breath that he takes air out of the other person's lungs,
Mm-hmm.
and the other guy ends up dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't fully understand what he's doing.
Yeah, so it's a lot of that, and so it's one of those things where it's like someone who smokes, lower instant, like you have pre-existing conditions, therefore that affects, there's one where it's just like, hey, older woman with a family, young kid without a family, kill the
Yeah.
young kid because nobody's gonna miss him, kill the mom, and people,
In reality, neither of them should have died.
no, well, that's the truth of it.
That's
Like
what makes Jigsaw a serial killer.
in a perfect world, all of them would get what they want. Everyone that needs health insurance would get it. All the people that need help with surgeries and treatments and all that, like, would get it based on simply that they need it,
Mhm.
not because they have to prove they deserve it more than someone else.
Yes.
And that's what's so interesting about this plot and everything. And so obviously he like the insurance guy's got to buy in because it's like I have these people and I'm gonna punish you or they die if you can't get there in time and blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And they keep cutting back and forth to this mom and son who are just like, oh, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay,
Dude.
and you're led to believe this entire time they're his wife and kid. And then when he finally gets to the end, after all of these hard choices, he sees his like secretary that he's boning or
It's
something.
his sister.
It's his sister?
It's his sister.
They're not boning though, right?
I don't think
I
it's a
hope
Lannister
not.
situation. I think it's just his sister.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, it's his sister, man.
It's not the wife and kid.
Yeah.
Because come to find out, they're the husband dad of that situation died because he was denied
Mhm.
insurance. Similar situation with like John Kramer, where it's just like, hey, this person died because of that. And so now that he's rescued his sister
Mhm.
boner, I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know. Um, they now get to choose. Okay,
Yeah.
now you're faced with the man who chose to kill your husband.
This is the scenario that makes this movie my second on the list.
What do you mean?
Like,
Oh, the twist?
yeah.
Yeah, like what I find, and and it's one of those moments where it's just like it's the same thing with Saw 3, where it's just like,
Yeah.
hey, you've learned all this stuff, right? Nope.
Nope.
Um,
And the mom is like, "Oh, we should let him be," but the son immediately goes for the switch.
yeah, no,
and flips it.
they choose to kill the insurance guy.
Yeah.
I think they get out though. I think
Yeah,
they
they do.
don't get punished for it. Which
But no, the punishment is having to watch this man dissolve from the inside out.
true.
Because that is a gnarly effect.
Yeah, so we haven't really talked much in detail in the last episode. So
No.
yeah, he gets injected with acid.
Real big fan
Oof.
of hydrofluoric acid, this Jigsaw boy is.
Right? Yeah, there's some in the next one or something like that too.
That's in Jigsaw.
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 Yeah. So yeah, so that's the test. Like I feel like we talked more about that than any other test, just because that's a really interesting one. I like the setup.
It's great.
I like the one where you can legitimately understand the hurt. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of it's just like you cross the road and like I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make it sound stupid, but there's a lot of moments where you're just like, dude,
Mhm.
that like that if you go down the domino effect, it wasn't their fault. There was
Yeah.
other thing like, but this is one where it's just like,
Yeah.
whoa, I almost get it.
It isn't until we get to Jigsaw that there's another character like that I genuinely hate.
Yeah.
And we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll talk about her.
So that's the test of this one. It has nothing to do with the other things that are
No.
going on. So Hoffman
Yeah.
had received John Kramer's last request to run this test.
Yes.
He thought that was the test.
No.
Though, meanwhile, he's a part of it with Jill. Hey,
Jill
let's just be honest. It's not a test.
No.
What were you going to say?
Jill is testing Hoffman. Hoffman is testing. Jill is she's gone to the police and she's like, "Hey, this dude's gonna kill me.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put me in protective custody."
No, that's after this one.
Oh yeah,
It's
you're
because
right.
it's because of this one. It's because of this
You're
one.
right.
But no, yeah, no.
Dang, these movies just run together.
Her thing was just to kill him. I think.
You're right, because at the end
He gets bear
trapped.
Like
Which
I don't.
is really smart,
I know I said
right?
earlier it's a test. I don't think it was a test. I think
No.
I think he just
I
John
think,
Kramer wanted him to die.
No,
Like I don't know.
I
Was there a
think-
reason?
I think she was testing him, but she decided to throw away the key.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Either way,
Either way, it ends with him being outed as
yeah,
Jigsaw.
like so Jill traps him with the reverse bear trap, the most famous Saw trap,
Mhm.
and basically just leaves him to get killed and caught.
Mhm.
And I think that's partly her choice. I don't know. I clearly might be remembering this wrong, but I think it's mostly just her just wanting to be done with this stuff.
Yeah.
But either way, he ends up escaping.
Mm-hmm. Which is gnarly. Like, I don't think anyone could have thought about putting the mouth bit between bars.
Yeah, so basically he keeps the bear trap from opening all the way, because if it opens all the way, his head explodes.
Yes.
So
like Steiner's
good
bomb.
for him for thinking, but like also
Yeah.
if there, like you said, if there weren't the bars that he used to do that,
He would have been screwed.
Yeah, it would have still happened.
And I think it's just another instance of, dang, Hoffman, you good at technology.
He's kind of square.
He could have been an engineer.
So
like him and Markiplier.
in the long history of horror movie franchises claiming to do the final chapter that did not turn out to be the final chapter.
Saw 3D.
Technically the final chapter in relation to Kramer, I guess, because Jigsaw doesn't. Spiral doesn't?
Jigsaw does.
We'll find out.
Jigsaw does because he is in Jigsaw.
Well, yes and no. Like the guy that's doing it is not in relation to Jigsaw.
No.
Like I wouldn't say. He's
Tobin
not.
Bell shows up.
Yeah, like I don't think that's enough
I
though.
don't know.
Because I feel like Tobin Bell's gonna cameo in the Spiral. So I feel like it's more so of someone inspired by Jigsaw.
Honestly,
And technically, here's the last one where you can claim John Kramer made me do it, like or something like that.
and if for those at home who are keeping track, we are up to
Who's
one,
that anymore?
right?
Oh, goodness gracious.
We are up to 3 accomplices.
Amanda
this
and
point.
Hoffman.
And Jill, she knew.
Oh yeah. Which accomplice as of the last
That's why
one.
I said accomplice, not
Yeah,
disciple.
she's an accomplice as of the last one because she's basically trying to do away with Hoffman.
yes.
Backfires. So now we get Saw 7, aka Saw 3D, aka Saw the Final Chapter. Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
because Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell was the last one, and Freddy's Dead was the last one. You know, like sure.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so this picks up as they do immediately after the last one.
Mhm.
That's why all of these run together, and it's all the same actors, all the everything. It's just it really feels like they just filmed all of it together and then just released it every year for a while.
It's like a trauma film where you can tell that they filmed like a bunch of them on the exact same lot at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just
Which good for them for getting it and everything.
Honestly,
So this one is another interesting one. So of all the bad people have to say about some of the later movies, it does have interesting plots as far as the tests. Even if you're not as invested in the Hoffman, Jill Tuck, Amanda stuff, like if you're not invested in the serial killer espionage stuff, you can at least be like, wow, this is I'm intrigued by how they solve this puzzle.
Yeah.
And so this is another one I really enjoy the irony of.
I agree. I like the opening of this one where it acknowledges, hey, other people have survived these tests.
Yeah,
Like-
and there's sort of this self-help group being led by, I'm trying to find this dude's name.
His name is Jeff.
Bobby Dagan.
That was close.
Such a stupid name. Bobby Boy. Yeah, he's kind of the pseudo leader of this group because he's kind of gotten famous off of surviving the Saw trap.
But here's the thing. He's a liar.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to pull back something that I don't think a lot of people liked with the Hoffman thing in Saw 5 of like, hey, he copycatted. Kind of bring that back, add a little bit of a new twist to it and redo it of like, hey, what if somebody faked being a Saw victim instead of being a Saw? I think it's interesting.
Yes.
I mean, there's people that have faked being addicts for the sake of having credibility with their self-help stuff. There's people that have, faked all kinds of things and claimed all kinds of things to get where they are. And although they might do good with where they are, they got there for the wrong reasons. So similarly here, even though he's gotten where he is and he does good things for helping these people, he doesn't deserve that voice because he's not a real he doesn't deserve it. Like
Yeah.
he did not survive a trap.
It's kind of like how people found out that Tom Clancy wasn't actually in the war. He was just a really smart dude who worked in an accounting firm.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he was contacted by the FBI because they were like, hey, how'd you know all this stuff? You're not a veteran. He was just like, I just looked at schematics, man. But he described ships in such details. Like, it's just insane.
Hey.
The things you learn working in a bookstore.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. So, along with picking up with the last one where now Hoffman knows Jill knows, and he's done away with trying to put off blame. Now he just wants to kill her. Mm-hmm. He just wants to kill her and anybody else involved, and then he's going to disappear. Which, honestly, shouldn't he have done that in the beginning? Like, shouldn't he have just taken his chances with people knowing he's Jigsaw and just disappeared in the wind? Like, wouldn't that have saved him a lot of time?
It would have saved him a lot of trouble.
So that's the big plot. He's trying to kill Jill.
Here's the thing. All of these movies would be moot if,
if people made rational choices.
Yeah, and if he just went to therapy.
Right. Don't go up the stairs. Right?
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that. Yeah. So, but to the trap of this one, it deals with the guy who claims to be a SAW victim.
Yes.
Now being a SAW victim.
Exactly.
And it's basically punishing him for this claim to fame that he doesn't deserve, and also all the people complicit in it that also know he's not who he says he is, like his publisher, his agent,
his wife.
His wife, yes, in the end, although she's clueless.
Yeah,
she is clueless.
That
all
is
the others know.
The worst part is that she has no idea that he's lying.
Yep, and so I think it's just those two, the agent and
I don't remember.
The agent and the what did I call it? Assistant, whatever.
To these people.
Publisher.
Yes, publisher.
So the lady, her thing is this one sucks.
Yes.
This one sucks. So she has she's locked into something. She has a key.
Yes.
The key is down her throat on a fish hook. And thing like if it's
her ponytail is in a vice.
Is it something? Yes. Yeah, something's rigged that if she screams, audio makes it pull or yank or twist or whatever. Like basically, if she screams, the machine works and it kills her. Mm-hmm. And how are you not supposed to scream when he's pulling a fish hook out of? Oh my gosh!
It rips her scalp off.
Oh, like it's just bad.
It's so
not
bad.
The fish hook. The trap does that. Oh, both are bad. Yeah.
I just. Ugh.
That like honestly.
They were on their A game when they wrote this movie.
I don't think there's another one. I really don't think there's another one that's ever really made me skeevy.
The last one.
Like this one.
The last one of this one got me, like really bad.
Oh, with the
hooks in his chest.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
We'll get there. So, yeah, so that's hers. The assistant or the dude, his is less interesting. He's blinded, and he has to listen to Bobby give him directions for how to get across to get his key and get free.
Yes.
And I don't know, it's just kind of boring. It's just like, go left, go right. Yeah, like, it's just
spikes.
Like... Yeah, like, it ends as you would expect. He just fails.
Honestly, the saw traps of the survivors sounded much more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Like the lady
they
who
even
was,
show one.
like, stabbed to her husband and she had to kill him.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there was one of, like, whoever's willing to give the most flesh. Like, she had to chop her arm off or something like that. It was like they had to weigh. Like, what are you willing to cut off?
There's
and whatever weighs
like,
the most.
Cutting off a bit of his stomach, but she just freaking
Yeah, she goes for her arm.
Which is smart.
Grungy,
That's a pound of flesh right there.
That's the idea.
Exactly.
So, yeah, lots that would probably give a lot of people skeevies. Again, we haven't talked as much about that. Mm-hmm. This one has a lot of them. And I think that's part of what's well done because it just makes you so uncomfortable.
Yeah, like these movies are not gore porn like a lot of people think. They are gore porn to a point, don't get me wrong. They are very gory. But I think like what makes you sit back and impressed is the creativity of all of them. Like, there have been several moments in Saw movies that just made my jaw drop. Mm-hmm. And just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a thing. That's a choice that you made, huh?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a way to make horror interesting in that it's not just a dude chasing girls and all this. Like, it's not just a supernatural thing. Like,
the sleeping bag kill in Jason X.
Right.
Oof.
But,
One of
like,
my
you've got to put something to it that makes it different, that makes it stand out. And Saw, with every new trap, does that, where it manages to get under your skin in new ways and make you scared of new things and everything. So, it's interesting. Yeah, but the last one, the last one is a test of, hey, that thing you said you did. So he's claimed that how he escaped was he had hooks in his chest and his pecs, and he had to climb up to freedom or something like that.
He was on a pulley and he had to pull himself up to
with the
reach
hooks
a key.
something like that. So in this one, it's the same thing, but he's got to insert the hooks, climb up, and be able to throw a switch to be able to free his wife.
And the thing is, the moment where his muscles give out,
right, is so he loses his pecs.
Yes. He is debreasted.
It's just filleted.
Just free mastectomy.
It's bad. So his wife dies because he failed. But the irony of it, of just like, you said you did it, and just proving to yourself. Yeah, you could have probably just written a letter and been like, hey, he's a fraud. Yeah. But this taught him.
You didn't have to kill his wife.
She was the innocent in it. So it's like, oh, dude, that sucks. But at the end of the day, I like the stick in it of just like, this thing you owe your entire life to has now taken all of this away from you.
And I love the scene in the bar that sets up this entire thing of, it's him sitting next to just a dude, and he's watching a news report of the Saw killings, and he's just talking like, that looks like an easy way to make money.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, just claim trauma and then, all that. I mean, salesmen. They'll make it work. And so that's the test of this one, essentially. That's what's going on in the sideline. Otherwise, essentially, it's just, again, about Hoffman trying to get Jill. Yes. Which, in the end, he does. And he puts her in the reverse bear trap with no key.
Yes.
And
ties her to a chair.
Yeah, and so as we've mentioned, although maybe the most famous Saw trap, never seen it. Never seen it really. Like, it's always been a tease. It's always been so close.
Yeah, in the first movie, you see CRTV footage of it exploding a styrofoam head, but that's the most we see.
It's fake. But as far as seeing a person endure it, you never see it until now, because basically there's just nothing you can do.
I don't know.
She can't get it off.
Jaw-breaking stuff. I don't like it.
Things bending ways they shouldn't. Yes. In general, it's like, oh no, that's not how that works. So now his wife is dead, which sucks.
So we're back down to one.
Although technically she put herself in the game.
Yes.
So it's hard to feel completely bad for her, because she could have walked away. She could have let it be, and she could have just been like, I want nothing to do with, my husband's work and all this other stuff. I don't know. She kind of put herself in danger.
Yeah.
In this one. Should she have died for it? No, but you know what I mean. But the kicker is, it's not over. So Hoffman thinks it's done.
Yeah.
But
he
then,
walks away.
as he's leaving, he gets jumped by pig masks. Which is a mainstay of jigsaw apprentices. So obviously this is confusing because
how many are there? Do you remember?
What? 3.
There's 3.
Yeah. So there's 3 people helping Dr. Gordon.
Yes.
Revealed to be alive and well. And working for Jigsaw.
Yeah.
He's helped with a few different instances, even recommending, I think, Jeff's wife as the one to help with Saw 3 when he was ill and everything. And basically, he was sworn to protect Jill, or basically make good on anything if anything happens to her. And so he does.
Yes.
And so Hoffman ends up in the original cell without a hacksaw, and without a toilet cover, because, and
a dead body.
Yes, Adam's dead body. And so it ends with Hoffman basically losing because he squandered the legacy he was given.
I love that little smirk when he's holding up the hacksaw, just like, nah. And just slamming.
You don't deserve the help.
No.
And,
eat your foot.
It's, so for all intents and purposes, Saw 7 can be an end. I mean, it does bring it back full circle, because Dr. Gordon, the original surviving victim of the first one, comes back and proves to be a part of the process, but also in a way that almost feels like justice because he's getting back at Hoffman, who's
Yeah.
done horrible things. So, it can feel like it's done in that, and you would think so.
You would think so. But then in 2014,
17.
17,
Close.
a number.
Yes. After a little bit of a pause,
Yeah.
they decided to, and what I think they're going to do moving forward,
Mhm.
kind of come back without direct contact with Jigsaw. So I would say Saw 1 through 4 are the Jigsaw Saws.
Yes.
They are John Kramer's Saw.
Yes.
Then Saw 5 through 7 are Hoffman's. They belong to The Apprentice.
Yeah, they're
But
Hoffman.
he's directly he was recruited and trained and worked with Jigsaw, John Kramer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a part of that story. But I think with Hoffman dead and Dr. Gordon kind of quote unquote free,
Mm-hmm.
the original Jigsaw story's done.
Yes, we have fully transitioned now into Tech Saw, as I affectionately call
Right.
it.
Yeah, it's like modern age and modern killers.
I have
So
feelings.
this one and what I think is going to happen with Spiral prove to be a case of other people basically just continuing his work without direct contact. Although technically the killer of this one can be like, oh yeah, John Kramer that one time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. He survived a trap, was saved by John, and then that was kind of it, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So-
So he was an orderly at the hospital, like Zepp.
Mm-hmm.
He mixed up a X-ray.
Yep. Which made Dr. Gordon say it's inoperable, which
Yes.
meant that the insurance was denied. That meant like domino effect, right?
There's a hole in the bottom of the sink.
So he's included in a trap. I'm not going to talk
Yes.
about the trap because that's the plot.
We'll get there.
But ultimately, he does survive, and John rescues him, figuring I messed up. You shouldn't die for that. Like you should get an honest
The
chance.
one time
Right.
that has
You-
happened.
You should get an honest chance at a second chance. And so he helps John maybe once or whatever. Like it's one moment of just like doing something and then
Yeah.
never seen, heard from, no more flashbacks, right? They can change it in the future, but right now
Yeah.
it just seems like he kind of got let go. Like he was free. I don't think you can call this a part of the Jigsaw story because he chooses his own reasons to start this story, if that makes sense.
I think it's established that this is one of the early ones because he still did it himself.
Yeah, so this is another one that tries to be, I think it does a good job, tries to be unique. So whereas 3 and 4 were just like, oh, we're going to put these side by side and reveal at the very, very end and all this other, like, it tried to do a twist of just like, hey, time and what you thought was happening
Yeah.
wasn't happening.
It's special.
This one tries to do it. I think it does it. I think it's a good twist.
Yeah, I mean, the entire opening scene is them examining a new body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, the opening scene is them attack.
No, they're getting it's a dude.
It's the dude. It's the dude with the trigger, and he's like, shoot my hand.
Yeah, he's got to start a test.
We only watched this movie once. Like, just for context.
So they're chasing a guy who says he's got to start a game, and that's the whole thing. He's
Yes.
got to pull a trigger to start a game, and that's what that is.
Mhm.
And so he starts a game, and the problem is there's 2 games going on at the same time
Yes.
at different times. So one is happening years before, and one is happening now.
Yes.
And so we see the moments of a test beginning where people are chained up and getting pulled into saws.
Mhm.
And the kicker is they just have to give up some blood.
Yeah, any amount will do.
Yeah. And so they're afraid of getting chopped up at all, but really if they just got cut a little bit, they'd be fine.
Mhm. Which is smart.
And essentially what it does is it then moves them on to the next thing.
Mhm.
And they're being pulled from test to test.
Yes.
In the beginning, though, one does not go through.
Yeah, there's a guy who is still passed out when everyone else wakes
Yeah,
up.
the drugs he was given to get knocked out, I guess, too heavy. It
Mhm.
just didn't wake up on time, which I don't know how you like mix that right,
I don't know.
but there you go. Meanwhile, then you cut to someone in a bucket head being dead, and so you're meant to believe that they're finding these victims.
Mhm.
As like, if you're paying attention, you're almost like, wait, how are they finding them? Because they just died. Like, is he
Mhm.
going? Like, you guys finish your test. I'm gonna go do this thing real quick. I gotta drop off a dead body at the park.
Yeah.
Just hang on. Like, um, it doesn't quite make sense. So that's where
Yeah.
you get the first clue. You're maybe not getting everything in order.
Yeah. And as the story goes on, you find out all of the nasty crap that every single person that is involved in this game has done.
The only thing is, I don't care about these guys.
No.
In the past, it's been a lot of like trying to understand and empathize.
Yeah.
Like, I get why this happened. I get, like,
All of these people are just terrible.
yeah, it's just a lot of stuff where it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I don't think that, like, it's one of those things, though. I don't think they deserve a saw trap. I think they should go to jail.
Yeah. There's a lady who, the first lady to die, I believe. She's the Needles.
Yes.
Um,
Stole a purse.
yeah. She stole a purse with a lady's inhaler in it,
Mm-hmm.
and the lady died.
Mm-hmm.
And she stole that purse that had $3 in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very Judas situation where it's
Very
like,
Judas.
did you enjoy?
Did you
What'd you
like
buy
the
with all that?
coins?
Did you spend it all at once?
Did you like it?
Um, one dude sold a bad bike that ended up leading to John Kramer's nephew.
I think
Someone.
somebody died.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
someone dying.
Mhm.
And so basically just like, I don't know, faulty brakes or something. It was something where it's like, you knew this should not be on the streets, and you
Yeah.
gave it to someone I care about.
Yeah.
And so and that's what put him in the test.
That's a good trap
Um,
too.
It's
I
fine.
like it.
It's blades in a tornado. It's
Yeah.
tornado of death.
It's
Even
the
it's like,
blender.
so it's
Yeah, and there's something at the bottom that he has to reach for.
that's like something someone who's a fan of Saw movies makes.
Yeah.
Like, not actually like a Saw trap, if that makes sense.
I just like the fact that the broken bike is part of it.
And then there's one. It's the lady who smothered her child because they wouldn't stop crying,
That's the
and
lady
then
that I
blamed it on
hate.
the husband.
Yeah, so this lady, colicky baby, she smothers him in the middle of the night and then sets the baby behind her husband who's asleep in bed
Mm-hmm.
so that he will roll over on the baby. The dude goes into jail and kills himself because he
Mhm.
thought that he had killed his baby. She is terrible. There's nothing redeemable about that lady.
Right.
And I hate her so much. I
Uh,
hate all of these characters.
and she ends up getting. So the test is, you've been doing everything backwards.
Yes.
They've been trying to, like, force the test. Like, they've been pressuring themselves almost to overreact, and it's just
Yeah.
like, no, listen to the rules. Like, pay attention, and you're getting it right. And that's what the final test is. It's just like, pay attention, and you get it right. And it's just like, you've done
Yeah.
everything backwards. The key is there, and but it's a gun, and it's her and the last dude,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them has to fire the gun.
Yeah.
Or no, they don't have to actually.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to, because
No.
the key is in the bullet,
Yes. Which is awful.
which is ruined when she chooses to kill the other guy first, but ends up
Yeah.
backfiring because they are doing things in reverse, so it backfires and kills her instead. So the other dude just lives, I guess.
Yeah, he's just trapped.
Because what we find out is that whole scenario was the original test by John Kramer years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because the dude that was passed out is the orderly
Yes.
turned criminal morgue person. Technical terms, I don't know these dang
Oh,
things.
man.
He's been investigating the bodies being brought by the detective of just like, hey, yeah, I got another one and all this. Like, he's the one who ends up making the next scenario to frame the detective because his sister died? Something happened where the detective... Oh, I remember what it is. So
Okay,
the
thank
guy
you.
from the beginning
Yes.
that started the test, there's like, I
Yes.
got to pull the trigger, I got to start the test, is an informant of the detective. The detective let him go because of reasons. Like, he's an informant, he's useful.
Yeah.
And so he lets him go, and he ends up doing something that kills his sister or something like that. It might be a sister.
Something. like
Someone.
that. It's someone.
Someone important
dies.
to this man, whose name I don't remember.
Craig.
Because again, this one I didn't like.
I didn't like it either. I
um,
especially didn't like this last trap.
I thought there were interesting elements. I like the
Yeah.
idea of, I survived a trap, I did my due,
Mhm.
and then I left. But then when I needed to commit justice, quote unquote, I turned to the only thing I knew, which was Saw, and that's the
Yeah.
whole motivation. But the really sucky thing is the final trap, which is lasers.
It's the laser collar. So they're
I don't
both in
remember-
a collar, and the collar has lasers straight up, and these apparently are very powerful lasers that will kill a man, turn his head into a flower. Very
Yeah,
beautiful.
like
Which is a cool effect, but
I don't even remember
whatever.
what he's supposed to do to get out.
I don't remember.
You would think we would do the research, but this is
No, it's not a great one, personally. Like, I didn't enjoy this one. I liked
it's one
elements of
it's
it.
one you watch because it's a part of
Yeah.
this thing you've already invested so much time and energy into.
Yeah.
But overall, just doesn't capture
Yeah.
the original awe and interest.
You just sort of sit through it like Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, you're just kind of very much just like, well, all right, I gotta
Context.
watch it because it's a part of the series.
Yeah.
Which I'm really hoping Spiral doesn't do. I'm really hoping Spiral does do something new, is
Yeah.
interesting, and is faithful.
Some of our favorite franchises have come back with a new movie
Mhm.
that
And
has
done
been
great things.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Like Halloween.
Now, this has more good than bad for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Like I mentioning Halloween, I think there's more bad than good in those series. I really think so.
I like
Um,
1, 2, and 3, and then Halloween 2018.
I like 1, 2, and 3, the zombie movies, and then the 2018.
Understandable.
But there's more that doesn't hit because they're just making sequels than does. At least with this one, for the most part, other than Saw 5 and this one, I think all the other ones are very entertaining, interesting to watch, and all of that. I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
I really hope that Spiral proves to be worth it as well, and lives up to the hype, and is a good entry.
I look forward to it.
Hopefully, it revitalizes this Dead series. I mean, it's been years, and I think it's needed the break, and so hopefully this is what brings it back, because I do think it's interesting overall.
You know what? I'm really excited to see Chris Rock in a horror
Right,
role. Like that came out of nowhere.
and apparently he enjoys it too. And
Good for
with
him.
meeting with the writers and directors, they thought that, and he's like, I want to do this. I want to do something interesting with this franchise I enjoy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dude.
Okay.
That's the best kind of horror movie, in my opinion, is
Yeah.
a labor of love that's
Mhm.
made by people who want to be there.
And I think that's where, and I mentioning it with one of the traps, I think this one is one where it's just like, it's fine, but it feels like it's made by people that are like they like the movies. They're
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't want to speak for the people that actually made it. They might love the movies. I don't
Yeah.
know, but overall, I just feel like it wasn't made with a heart for the story. It was just made for a heart for the gimmick. I
Yeah.
think. I think it gets the beats, but overall, it's got no substance.
And like you said, there's movies that we go back to for obligation. Like
Mhm.
there are movies that we just watch because it's in a series. But there are other movies that we watch because we love the series. Like
Right.
all of the Conjuring movies in the Conjuring verse.
hmm
Except for La Llorona. I didn't like that
I
one.
haven't seen it, so I can't say. And you keep saying that, so it's skewing my opinion. I want to like that movie.
It's a Mexican folktale
'Cause I wanna think they're
starring
all
white
good.
people. I have an issue with that.
Well,
It's just me.
questionable casting choices can still make a good movie.
That's a good point.
I mean, it might not have been as faithful as it could have been, but I think it could still end up with a good movie. I don't like the idea of spoiling things because of industry choices, because
Mhm.
I feel like to a point we'd never get anything, or we wouldn't get a lot of things if
Yeah.
industry didn't have a choice.
To be fair, that's not the only reason I didn't like it. It's just one of them.
Sure. Well, we'll have to watch it at some point, and I'll have to form my own opinions, as you should
As
about
you
these
should.
Saw movies.
Well,
Hopefully, we intrigued you enough to investigate these for yourself.
Hope we tickled your fancy.
I don't know, hopefully we were at least entertaining while we tried to understand these movies. There is a story there, and it
Yeah.
is interesting for the most part. And
Mostly.
I think if you're looking for an opportunity to give something new a chance,
This is
try Saw.
This is one of the first episodes that we've done where we've both just been like, I don't know, maybe.
Right, like it's one of those things where it's like, I like it, I'm trying to understand it, and I get the gist, I get the broad strokes,
oh,
but if you ask me to put it all in order, it's just not possible.
gotta
It's
help you people if we ever do Kingdom Hearts.
right, like it's just you can't it's not built to go together perfectly.
No, like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right. So there's always going to be some lopsided pieces.
Yes.
And I
Maybe
think
the dog ate one.
although Jigsaw is one of them, and maybe Saw 5 to a point, I think for the most part, most of them are worth your time. And most of them are only like close to 2 hours. They're not a full two. Like they're not super long, so
Yeah.
you can binge them.
You can fast forward.
The first 4 are definitely worth it.
Yes.
And so definitely give it a chance if you haven't. And again, Spiral is coming out. It's going to be in theaters. So if you're looking for a movie theater opportunity to do safely, to enjoy
Yes.
some normalcy, then there you go. There's a movie option because there's not too many choices to choose from right now.
And,
So maybe you'll try it.
Please continue to be very safe during all of this. A return to normalcy may not be the best, but it's going to happen anyway. But you are responsible for your own choices.
You do you.
You do you, baby.
And do you, and check out our Patreon down in the link below. We enjoy our patrons, and they pay for this rambling mess. Maybe if they paid more, we would make more sense of this series.
Maybe put in some effort.
I need a raise if we're going to get this right. I don't get paid enough to understand these movies perfectly. So, but you can change that. You can also give ideas and input into future content by joining Patreon, because we love our patrons so much. We give them a lot of deciding choice in things, and we gauge their interest and ideas a lot of the time. So if you want input into the nerd herd, then yeah, Patreon's a way to do that. Thank you to Red5 Network for being cool people who do cool podcasts as well. You can check them out at red5network.com. You can also check out gameinfinite.net for gaming coverage, news, articles, cosplay, art, all that stuff. If you like games, it's just your haven of all things gamey and goodness. And with that, I think we're done with. Well, we're not done.
We're not done with Saw.
We're gonna talk about. We're gonna find a way to. We've got to find out, because we actually had to question whether or not any theaters of ours are actually open yet. So even though they're saying it's in theaters, it might not be in our theaters, which is kind of a conundrum. But we're going to try and figure out a way to do Spiral, because we have not talked all this time about Saw movies, only to not be able to pay off with a good ending.
Yeah.
Because Jigsaw, not quite the good ending this franchise deserves. So we need to do Spiral. So hopefully by the time we circle back to our next episode, we'll have done it, and it'll be great and wonderful. If not, I know we're doing more Star Wars coming up soon, so that's at least exciting and going to bide your time.
Do you want to tease our next horror?
Well, it's going to be a while. Well, I mean, I can say it because I know what it is, because it's the next horror movie to come out this year that we're excited for.
We are so excited for it.
And that is Conjuring 3? 4?
Conjuring 3.
3. It's confusing because technically
like the
they're all
one.
Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
No, wait. Annabelle 1, Annabelle 2, Annabelle
3, and then The Nun.
The Nun.
And then this is Conjuring
La
3.
Llorona.
This is Conjuring 3.
Yes.
But there's like 9 movies. That's what I say. They're all Conjuring movies, but they're all by our favorite dude as well.
Love James Wan.
James Wan. Although I don't think he did La Llorona.
Yes, your pronunciation was adorable. La Llorona.
My Sharona.
The double L is a Y.
But it is also getting a new entry into the series, and again, not our favorite. So sorry if that was your vote, but it is up there. It is top 10.
It's
the series,
up there.
the series as a whole, definitely in the top 10. And so that one we are very excited.
We got to talk about all of James Wan's movies.
I think we'll get there because I love me some Wan.
We do.
He's the Wan to my John, man. I love him.
Okay, on that note, later.
Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.